Columbus just experienced its first snowfall of the year. I've busted out my flannel. We're halfway through the football season. It gets dark at 5 o'clock, and it's the best time of year. That is, it's the best time of year to buy a house. I'm going to explain to you why I believe that is in this video. In fact, I think it's maybe the best time to buy a house in a while, honestly, or at least in the future. It may be the best time. We may look back on this and say, wow, this was a great opportunity to buy a house. Moving forward, I'm going to explain why I believe that. If you've been on the fence about should I buy, should I not, this is the video for you. And I'm going to explain with not just what I believe, but with data and showing you that why I believe that's the case. So the joke's always been, 5 years ago, yesterday was the best time to buy a house. The next best time is now, and I believe that's still true because I do think prices in the future will go up. In fact, we want prices to go up. You want year-over-year appreciation for a healthy market. If you want to buy a house, you don't want to buy a house and then the next year your house be worth less. So if prices are going down, it's actually not a good time to buy a house. We need appreciation to still make it a good time to buy a house. So think about that. So if you're waiting for prices to come down year over year, that's not a good thing to wait for as a buyer, because if that continues and prices drop off, then you're going to actually lose it. It's not going to be a good time to buy a house. It's the best time to buy a house when it starts to go back up. And so you have to wait for the down cycle and the up cycle. And that time, it could take 5-10 years. Who knows if that's the case? And do you want to wait around that long to have a single family house? And if it's just a pure investment, maybe you do. But if this is a residential property that you want to live in, you don't want to wait 10 years to do that. You don't want to wait 10 years for your house to come up. So that's what I believe, buying sooner than later. And there's a little opportunity, a little window here, if you're in Columbus, to think about buying a house. Interest rates just hit their yearly lows. And so interest rates have come down. And consumers are starting to see that. Consumers are starting to hear interest rates are coming down. They're going to continue to go down. And so some consumers are waiting for those to get even lower. And so they're sticking it out, waiting. So, okay, if I wait a little longer, maybe they'll come down. And then prices month over month are coming down. Let me show you a chart that I love to show. This is my favorite chart. The favorite part of the data that the Columbus board puts out for us is this chart. You can see this chart shows the year over year ups and downs in prices, and this is the average or median price in Columbus as a whole. So this is a little harder to see when you look at neighborhoods, when you break it down, because every house is different. It depends on if you have really good houses selling versus houses that need a lot of work. It will fluctuate. But as you see here across the board, this is all the data of the Columbus region. It's pretty consistent. In fact, this goes to 2015. You can go back even further, really to the 2010 crisis, 2008, 2010. Once that kind of stabilized, we're seeing this pattern. We saw it before that. So this is a historical pattern that we see in Columbus, and this could save you, $30,000 to $60,000 on average. Because if you decide to buy at the low point of the year versus the high point of the year, that's a huge swing. When we're talking the average of, what is the average price point? $368 right now. So median price is $325, and so when it's median prices can fluctuate by 10-15%, can be up to $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 a year by buying low and then just holding to the high point. Now this is all theoretical, because you don't buy in January and then sell in June, but theoretically that's the case according to this data. And what I tell people, especially if you're looking to sell a house, if you have a house to sell and buy, there's a huge opportunity here where you buy your house first and then sell your house in the top market. Buy your house in the low market, sell your house in the top market. But I want to talk about this year, 2025 to 26, as we head into 26. We're a couple months away now. It's hard to believe. We're talking about 2026. But why this year I think is even just as powerful, or at least, there's a lot going on in the world. There's economic crisis, political, all this stuff going on, in the world right now. Why I think this year is going to be similar to the last few years, if not even more so, when it comes to these drastic swings in prices, when it comes to yearly swings. So we're obviously seeing this pattern. If you look here closely, we're seeing that the pattern's already taken place, where we peaked. We had a nice peak in the summer. Now it's dropping off drastically. I'm seeing it left and right. Homes are selling for less. They're sitting longer. It's because the buyers that are in the market right now are seeing the down cycle. They're seeing, hey, we hit a limit. We hit the ceiling of what prices in Columbus can do. And the buyers that are desperate, they bought a house or they signed a lease and they're out of the market. We're left with the right house for the right price buyers. And those buyers are very savvy. They're not just buying anything, and they don't want to overpay. So they're being very picky, and rightly so. And so that's why prices come down is they don't want to pay what someone paid, in the spring market because they were desperate. They had to have a house, or they either had to make a decision to buy a house or sign a lease, and they decided to overpay on the house and sign instead of signing a lease. So, and that's probably the best decision for them. But now we're left with the right house, right price buyers that are going through houses with a fine-tuned comb, and they know the pricing, they know what things have sold in the last year at this place, and they're like, we're not paying that. So prices come down. So then they start seeing prices come down, and they think, okay, if I wait longer, they're going to even be less. And so these buyers are waiting. And this happens every year. And then on top of this, we have interest rates coming down. So as interest rates come down, that combines with prices and interest rates means the monthly payments are coming down twice as fast. So, we have these buyers waiting. They're drawing that line. If I wait longer, it's going to be even less. But at some point, they're going to see that there's a difference. All of a sudden, that numbers go up. And so once that, it's not the best, again, just like year over year pricing, it's not great to buy and then prices drop because that means you're buying something that's going to be less or worth less in the next year. But what happens when that swing comes up, it's a short swing. When stuff starts to rise, that's actually the best time to buy because then the next day or the next month or the next year, prices will come up. But the problem with this is that once that happens, you're probably behind the market. It's hard for a consumer to understand when the right time, when that little moment is to buy. So in fact, in this data is a month behind as well because this data is driven by closed homes. And what really sets the data is the in contract pricing. So it's really hard to understand and know when that line is going down and then starts to go up. And typically when we get the data, it's already too late. So that's why I believe right now, the next few months is a better opportunity, not to time it perfectly, but to have a window of like, if I can find a home that fits my needs in the next few months, it may be the best opportunity to get that home at the best price and the best monthly price based on interest rates. Because if interest rates continue to come down, it's going to allow more buyers in the market. And that's real estate is simply supply and demand. The more buyers that are able to enter the market, the higher the prices are going to go. Now we are seeing inventory rise as well. This is another factor why I think now is a great opportunity because we're seeing the highest inventory we've seen in a long time. So not only are prices coming down, softening, interest rates are softening, but you also have more options as buyers. You have more options to compare and to look at, and that means that you have more ability to negotiate right now, and you don't have to compete with 5 other people on the same house typically. Now, good houses are still selling. We're still seeing that, and that's what I want to talk about is the inventory. Just because there's more inventory doesn't mean it's great inventory out there. Hey, it's Ryan Dieter here of Real of Ohio. Thank you for tuning in. If you like these videos, please subscribe. It really helps me out to know who's watching these videos. Leave a comment as well. Love to hear from you. All right, now back to the content. So to put a quick bow in this and to recap, the reason I think it's the best time right now to buy a house in Columbus is 1, prices are coming down. 2, interest rates are coming down, so the cost of homes are less total. You have more inventory than ever. There's less competition. And so it's much easier right now than it ever has been to buy a house in Columbus. And it's, yes, it's not as cheap as it was 5 years ago, but I don't expect prices to come down. In fact, we still are seeing year over year appreciation. So it's actually that's a positive thing that things are, you can buy a house and next year it's going to be worth more. And so, we still are in a healthy market here in Columbus to buy, and we're still in a healthy market to sell. But now I think is the best time to buy because if you wait till spring, you will be caught up in everyone else's goal to buy a house in the spring, and you beat the rush, you can win big time here in Columbus.